In today's episode, we're going to be covering some post-NFL draft news, a schedule release, and a $100 million lawsuit on the NFL. That's all kind of insane, but not after. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 17 of the Takle Network. And let's jump right on into this thing. First, we have an update on Justen Tucker. Basically, today, Justen Tucker was released by the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens came out and said in a statement, sometimes football decisions are incredibly difficult, and this one is one of those circumstances. Considering our current roster, we have made a tough decision to release Justen Tucker. Justen created many significant and unforgettable moments in Ravens history. His reliability, focus, drive, and resilience and extraordinary talent have made him one of the league's best kickers for over a decade. We are grateful for Justen's many contributions while playing at the Ravens. We sincerely wish him and his family the very best in their next chapter of their lives. Now, the biggest takeaway from this tweet that they had, the Ravens, was considering our current roster. A lot of people did not know this, but for the first time in Ravens franchise history, they actually selected a kicker at pick 186 in the NFL draft, which was Tyler Loop. A lot of people didn't even know you could draft kickers. Yes, actually, you can draft, in fact, a kicker. They also drafted a long snapper, which was quite interesting. Also, Justen Tucker was just extended in 2022. He was extended for a 4-year, $24 million deal, and that contract had $5 million in signing bonus, as well as $17.5 million of those dollars were perfectly guaranteed. An average annual salary of just $6 million. Now, with all that being said, I don't necessarily know when the Baltimore Ravens will release Justen Tucker. If he's already been released, then the Ravens will take a $7.5 million dead cap hit this season. If he's released after June 1st, the Ravens will receive $4.2 million back in cap space after releasing him. That's only if they release him after June 1st of 2025. Now, a good update for the Justen Tucker situation. There's a lot of things going on outside the scenes. I'm not going to get into that case right now, but a case I will be getting into is apparently there is an NFL fan that is seeking $100 million in damages from Shedeur Sanders' fall in the NFL draft. That just sounds crazy to me. Shedeur Sanders is not the one on these allegations. 2 weeks ago, Shedeur Sanders was expected to go first round in the NFL draft. The consensus number 2 overall quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, led college NFL in completion percentage in 2024 and helped the Colorado Buffaloes to their first 9-win season since 2014. It gets better from here. But Sanders slid from round 1 to 5 as the Cleveland Browns traded up in round 5 to select, said quarterback. His slide was the biggest storyline of draft weekend. Tell me over and over again. He was the biggest story of the draft, and it wasn't even close. A lot of people were like, where's Shedeur going to go? Is Shedeur going to go here? Is Shedeur going to go there? A lot of people were like, oh, Shedeur hasn't gone yet? That's great, which it's not great, but he ended up getting drafted, so it's okay. By the way, the plaintiff, so he referred to as John Doe, and by the way, I'm just giving you the outline of the case. I will not be giving you my opinion at this time. John Doe is the plaintiff, or the one that is filing these complaints against the NFL. He alleges in the complaint that the NFL's actions towards discrimination of slanderous statements have caused severe emotional distress and trauma. Per the filing, Doe in Georgia is a resident and a dedicated fan of Colorado football who attended the Colorado versus TCU game in 2023. The Buffaloes won that game 45-42, and Sanders completed 38 of 47 of his passes for 510 yards and 4 touchdowns. I will say that was probably one of his best football games of his entire career. Doe alleges that the reports of Sanders' performance and interviews contributed to the narrative that has unjustly harmed his reputation as and his potential as a player. So basically, what he's saying here is there's a lot of NFL scouts that didn't like Shedeur Sanders solely based off of his interview that he gave, because he wasn't necessarily the most respectful. He showed up late. There was a lot of things that happened in the pre-draft process that they just didn't like Shedeur Sanders for. And he's saying that one of the reasons that he's filing this suit is because apparently this is an unjust and harmed reputation that they gave to Shedeur Sanders. But it doesn't get better from here, but the story gets more interesting. The filing alleges that the NFL violated. So these are the things that, per sources, this is by the USA Today, per sources, and this is what the case is saying that he actually violated, or that the NFL violated. The Sherman Antitrust Act, because teams colluded to influence Sanders' fall in the 5th round. So he's claiming that all teams had a part in this. The Civil Rights Act, because the fall may have been influenced by racial discrimination. Customer protection laws, because the league misinterpreted the nature of the drafting process and qualifications of players. This is all alleged. This is just what he's claiming. The plaintiff is seeking $100 million in punitive, in damages. Okay, he's seeking $100 million. As an NFL fan, why are you seeking $100 million in damages? I mean, I guess if you're suing the NFL, that's a good way to get a bag. But, man, $100 million is crazy. You would be living for a long time on that money. Heck, you'd have more money than almost half the league at that point with $100 million. This story will be updated in future videos. We will see where this goes, and it's quite interesting to see that a fan is suing the NFL for $100 million. The lawsuit was filed in the U.S. District Court in Atlanta, and at this time, the NFL has not put out a statement in response to the lawsuit. So the NFL hasn't said anything about this. This just happened not that long ago. At the time of this recording, it happened just 5 hours ago. So we will see where this goes. I'm assuming eventually this will become a nothing burger, but we'll just have to see over time. I honestly don't know how this is going to work for said NFL fan or said Colorado Buffalo fan, but I'm sure it'll all end up getting worked out, and the NFL might be losing a massive paycheck. With that all being said, we've got to get on to what's going on May 14th, because on May 14th, 2025, the NFL will be releasing the schedule. Yes, and a couple days before, they will be releasing a couple of special games. That includes international games. One of the games that the Chiefs are projected to go and play in is at the beginning of the season. They're projected to go play over the ocean, overseas, across the pond, however many ways you can say that, and go play the Los Angeles Chargers. That is not confirmed yet. I'm just saying that's been some of the rumors, because the Chargers have a home game, and it's going to be over in Brazil, I believe, is where it's going to be. So they've already released some teams on where they're playing, especially in the international games, but they haven't released all of the games per se. So we'll be able to tell here probably in a week. In next week's episode, I'll probably cover some of the schedule release, and we'll just see what happens from there. One thing I did want to update you on is we do know the Hall of Fame game. So the Hall of Fame game will be July 31st, and it will be the Lions versus the Chargers. The Hall of Fame game is the earliest preseason game possible, and then there will be 3 weeks between the Hall of Fame game and the start of the preseason for more of training camp and things like that. Then you'll have 3 weeks, or technically 4 weeks of preseason before the NFL season, and that'll all take place in August, with the preseason ending August 24th, I believe, this season. So we'll all see what happens on from there. I know it was kind of a short episode this week. I got back from another trip, so we'll be able to see what's going on here later in the next upcoming weeks. I plan on doing some extra roster, like not roster rebuilds per se, but roster projections on certain teams, see who's going to make the roster, and just see who couldn't quite cut it. But with that all being said, I thank you for tuning in to the Tackle Talk Network, whether you're outside working or you're sitting at home. I appreciate you, and I'll see you guys next week.